about real estate, guys. I just be thinking sometimes, man, and I just be wondering, like, man, I'm just so happy, that I did my moves back in the day, getting into real estate. I'm just so happy that, at 54 now, going on 54, I'm so happy that I made that move. I was just like everybody else. I had a little bit of fear, you know, um, and I was second guessing myself if I could do real estate investing. And I saw all these other people, man. I saw them succeeding, and I just told myself, man, if they can do it, I can do it. And that's just how I think. And I think that's how you have to think when you're pursuing something. You just got to go with that. If they can do it, then I can do it. And that's exactly how my mentality is, because I don't see why somebody else can do something and I can't do it. That's how you have to approach this. But I've been doing real estate investing, guys, for the past literally, and it doesn't even seem like it's that long, but it's 26 years. And I just come out here and share my journey, help people out. If you have any questions, I always say, man, put them in the chats. But real estate has been good to me, and I'm just so happy now that I don't have to sit there and work, the double overtime like I used to at the plants. I have a little job down the street, which is, it's not much in pay, but it just keeps me occupied and I like it. But the fact that I can have more income coming from real estate more than a job is the greatest feeling. And I just did a video on this earlier. Like, that's one of the biggest mistakes that we as people make. We put so much effort and and dependency on a job. They don't even teach us that, you can end up losing your job, and it's nothing that we do sometimes. Companies just downsize, they lay off, they demote people, they're cutting the fat, and that's exactly what they did for me, and I'll never forget that, and it happened to me. It's as if it happened yesterday, and that's why I go so hard in the paint coming in here teaching people, because they don't teach us this in school. They don't teach us financial literacy. They don't teach us how to go out there and get investments and assets. And that's what I come out here to try to teach people and kind of encourage people, guys. But you can be able to do real estate. It's not as hard as you think it is. It's just that you don't have the guidance, support, help, blueprint. And that's what stops a lot of people. And you think that you have to have, millions of dollars, which you don't. You think you have to have a whole bunch of money, which you don't. And you think you have to have the perfect credit. You don't. And I'm telling you, when I first started out in this real estate, I did not have all that stuff, but I was willing to learn. But what I'm telling you is, I used to work at the plants and I was working 12-hour shifts. And I finally got to a point in my life to where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's where that breaking point is for most people. If you're trying to get to that next level, my thinking was, man, I don't want to be working for somebody for the rest of my life. It just didn't even make sense to me. But they put that in our heads ever since we're in elementary school or preschool. Go to school, get get good grades, and then once you get the good grades, you get a good job. It doesn't pan out like that. Most people have student loan debt. That's most people's biggest expense is student loan debt. It's wild to me. And I'm glad I didn't go to school, a high-end school and get this debt. I'm so glad. But anyway, I just remember working at these plants, and I'm so glad I was very smart with my money, thankfully, and I took that money and I invested it. And anybody can do this, even if you're not working at a plant. Just save your money, do what you can, invest it, and then parlay it into real estate or something. Because if you don't, guys, you'll be working for the rest of your life. And this is, like I said, this is exactly why I do real estate, because I finally found something that I enjoy doing, and most importantly, I could teach it, because I wasn't going to put myself in that same category again with this generational curse, which most of us get ourselves into. We do exactly like our parents teach us, or like our parents' teach us, and that's having this one job. That's the worst thing you can do, is just have a job and nothing else. I always tell people, man, you at least should have a backup stream. At least build something in the background, because if you don't, it's going to cost you in the future. It could potentially cost you in the future. Jobs don't keep us nowadays. They just don't. Jobs are not loyal to their employees, which they should be, but it just don't work like that. I didn't think that I would ever get laid off when I was working at the plants. I never thought that I'd get laid off. I thought it was a good, secure job. I thought I was going to be there till I retired, but it didn't even come close to that. And then once I got laid off the first time, because I got laid off, I told myself I will never get myself in that position ever again. And I'm going to tell you why it stung so much. Somebody says, I agree. They don't care. Yeah, they don't. But I had to learn the hard way, and most of us do. But this is the thing I teach people. It's like, make sure that you build something on the side. That is the key. Make sure you build something on the side because you never know, right? And I end up getting into real estate. And it's not something that I'd already had to want to do it in the background. I'd already thought about it, but it became real once I got laid off. But what stung the most is that I have 2 kids and my wife. This was my why. And I always tell people, guys, when you get into anything, make sure you have a strong enough why, because if your why is not strong enough, this is not going to work for you. The reason why you have to have a why is because your purpose will be laser focused. If it wasn't for my kids and say I was single, then I probably wouldn't took it as serious. But I took it serious because my wife was a stay-at-home mom with our 2 kids, and I was the only, income earner, and that just put the pressure on me more, which I didn't mind at the time, but I was only 25, right? I just knew I had to do something, and I'm glad I got into real estate. Now, I did find another job, okay? I did find another job working at the plants, but I'll never forget, I told myself and I swore to myself, I said, when I start working at this other plant, okay, and I get on my feet, I will make sure that I have something in the background so nothing happens. Man, when I got laid off, they didn't ask me how I was doing. They didn't ask me if I had food on the table for my family. They didn't even ask me if I had a roof over my head. They don't care. So I said, okay, I could become bitter or I could become better. And thankfully, I chose to become better because I already had this implanted in my head. But I said, man, once I get this job, I'm going to start learning the game of real estate. And it took me a long time, but I did it. It took me a long time to learn the game. And I'll never forget, I bought my first home. It was a 2 bedroom, 2 bath house. I'll never forget. And I bought that home. Okay. And when I bought it, I was making like $250 cash flow. I was so happy. I said, man, I'm ready to buy another one. And that's exactly what I did. I ended up buying another one. Now, keep in mind, I'm working at the plants I'm making 6 figures, but my bank account didn't equate to that. Imma tell you, I was broke. I was broke, Imma be honest with you. I had bad credit, and I didn't have a whole lot of money, okay? So I had to do things like creative financing, that's what it's called. I had to do things like creative financing. That's how I was able to get these things. Because one of the things I did was I partnered with people. I partnered with people that had money and credit. I went out there, got the information, they lend me their money and credit. That's how I was able to get my deals. But guys, you got to be resourceful out here, right? But there you can get into real estate and you don't have to have, thousands and thousands of dollars. If you have it, that's even better, okay? But don't think that you can always come in because it won't work like that with zero money down. And this is what gets me. Just because you have to put money down on a house doesn't make it a bad deal. I'm gonna repeat that again. Just because you have to put money down on a house, it doesn't make it a bad deal. And this is the mindset of most because I do mentorship, so I know how people are thinking. But it's like, man, if I got to put money down, then what's the point of me doing real estate? No, it's okay. You'll put money down on a car and won't even think anything of it. And a car is a depreciating item. It doesn't go up in value. Houses do. So it's okay if you got to put money down. The catch is make sure you're making more out of it. You look at your cash on cash return and your ROI, return on investment. I've got houses where I've put 15 or $20,000 down. But if I'm making $500 a month, okay, that's a pretty good ROI. Matter of fact, let me do the math because it's letting me know my rate of return on how fast I'm getting my money back. So if I'm putting $500 or say I'm getting $500 cash flow times 12, so that's a month or a year, excuse me, that's 6,000 divided by the $20,000 that I put in or down. That's a 30% rate of return, guys. 30% rate of return. You're not getting that at any bank. You're not getting a 30% rate of return. So you get your money back. It's just going to be over time. But that's a consumer mindset when we thinking, man, I got to put money down. No, that's just part of the business, right? But there's nothing wrong with that. because I guarantee you, you're not getting anything out of working for somebody else. Okay. Now, I'm not saying a job is bad. I don't want to take this the wrong way. What I'm saying is it's bad when that's all you have, when that's all you depend on. That's what I'm saying. And you don't have anything working in the background. Guys, if y'all have any questions about real estate, put them in the chat. To be more than welcome to answer any questions. I do the buy and hold strategy. So what I do is I buy properties and I rent them out to Section 8. I also do traveling nurses, insurance companies, and event spaces. But the point is, I'm holding on to these properties because that's where you're building wealth. When you could hold on to them, because all the other advantages that you get, like I said, the cash flow, um, there's also depreciation, there's also appreciation. So these are the things that you get along with holding on to the property. The tax write-offs, you don't get tax write-offs when you're working at a job, right? Matter of fact, that's who pays the most in taxes is people that have a W-2. All right, that's the people that who pay the most is when you have a W-2 job. Excuse me. So yeah, I just come out here and answer any questions, guys. But yeah, I like talking about real estate and helping people get to financial freedom. And you can be able to do this too. All right. And I also have even like a short reading if you want. I got an ebook. All you got to do is go to my bio and you'll see the link in the description section. I do one-on-one sessions. Um, and I also have an ebook and I also have a course. So this is to help people out. But if you have any questions, like I say, more than welcome to put them in the chats and ask me any questions because that's what I'm here for to help you out. If you have any questions about real estate investing, guys, put them in the chats. I'm also on TikTok too, so I come on there and talk about real estate and financial freedom because this is stuff that's really needed and it's not even talked about out here. People don't know a lot about real estate, so I'm just going to start coming on here more often and hit people up about real estate because a lot of people want to learn about this stuff. This stuff is doable. You don't have to have millions of dollars. You don't have to have a degree for this. That's another thing. Like when I first started out, I'm not gonna lie, I thought I needed a degree for this, but you don't. You don't go get a license to become a realtor to do what I'm doing, right? You don't need to do that because it's not gonna help you at all, really. You just need to follow somebody that you know, like, and trust. That's the key. Follow somebody that you know, like, and trust that's doing what you want to do, and that's how you're able to do this. Okay, so I've been doing this since 2000. Literally, I've been doing it for 26 years, and it don't even feel like it. But I'm so happy that I got into it, and it's actually a passion of mine to teach others. I get really passionate because it's like this stuff, in my opinion, should be taught in school, but they don't teach this, and they never will because if you learn this stuff, then you'd have way less people working in factories and all this other stuff that we have here today. All they do is groom us to work for somebody else. That's all they do is groom us to work for somebody else, to slave for somebody else, when you could be doing other things like starting your own business, right? I wish they pushed that in school about starting your own business, but the whole game plan is to teach us how to work for somebody else. And they do a fantastic job at doing that. So I decided to take a different route and got into real estate afterwards. And I'm glad I haven't looked back. And I used to work at the plants. I made great money, but I'm gonna lie. I won't lie. I got burnt out real quick. I got burnt out real quick thinking, man, I better do something with my life. Because if I think I'm gonna retire at these plants, I'm in trouble. And I made great money. I'm not gonna complain about that. I made great money. I did real well. Thankfully, I was very smart with my money and I started to invest it. But, it's easy to get caught in that trap when you have a good job. It's easy to get caught in that trap to have a good job and just buy stuff. This is what most people do. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. The only way that you're going to get out of your situation, one of the things that they don't teach us is that you must buy assets. But again, this is little stuff that they don't teach us. When you start buying assets, these things throw off cash flow. It could put you in a whole nother tax bracket within a short amount of time. But buy assets so they throw off cash flow so you're no longer exchanging time for wages. This is what most people fail to realize. Buying assets is so important. That should be like very, very important to people. Buy houses and single family houses and buy businesses, buy real estate. And if you look, you can Google it. I did my research. It's like back then, 90% of all millionaires come through owning real estate. Just look it up. You can Google it. 90% of all millionaires come through owning real estate. So when you own these things, again, as I stated earlier, you get the tax write offs, you get the depreciation, you get the appreciation, equity capture, cash flow. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So that's why I like it. I've tried other investments. I'm in crypto right now. I'm not here to talk about crypto. I'm here to talk about real estate. But when you could diversify yourself too, that helps too. But my main thing is, guys, I put my money into real estate because it's not going nowhere. And as I started to learn, it's like not only do 90% of all millionaires come through owning real estate, it's like, you know, um, it's not going anywhere, right? Like crypto, you can't see it. With my real estate, I can drive by, I can see it, I touch it, I got tenants in there. It's not going anywhere, and it's probably it is a investment that's been here for the longest time. And then I really started to research, and I found out that, and we all know this, that well, maybe some people don't, but real estate is a necessity of life, of mankind, because people need food, clothing, and shelter to survive and live. And then I started to research. I said, man, this would be a good business to get into. So it's not like it's a fly by night thing, guys. So all I say is just get into real estate, get some assets, because this can change your life financially. And this is why people are living in this rat race, is because all we do is exchange time for wages. And we're not understanding that once you stop exchanging your time, you don't get paid. Okay. Once you stop giving up your time, you don't get paid. You want to buy assets because in this case, thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. Thank you for the hearts. Because once you start doing this, guys, it'll change your situation. Okay. It can change your situation. But I always tell people, man, buy assets, buy some real estate. Hello, hello, how you doing? Buy some real estate because this can really change your life. And it has for me. So I started buying single family houses. I started out in 2000. And and here's another thing I want to tell y'all too is, guys, it's like you can do this while you're working at your job. You don't have to quit your job. Stay at your job, let your job be your friend. It's showing these companies and these lenders that you have income coming in. Guys, this just helps you, right? So don't quit your job, but you can work your 9 to 5 and do real estate at the same time. I know it's done because I've done it before, right? I've done it before. And I was working 12-hour shifts. So I know for a fact that it can be done. It's been done. And then I prove it because I have systems in place. And now I teach this to other people. And that's why I said, guys, if y'all want to learn more about real estate, even if you don't, if you want to learn from me, all you got to do is go to the link in my bio. I have an ebook, I have a course, I have a mentorship program to help people out. All right. Hold on, I got it. It never fails, but we always got people in here that always. Who is it? Somebody says hi, Denzel Washington. Yeah, it's people don't take their life. But anyway, yeah, you can click the link in my bio, guys. I do have an ebook, I have a course, I have a mentorship program to help people out. But you can do this while you're working at your job. Matter of fact, I always tell people I highly recommend it. Okay, keep your job, don't quit it. But guys, it's so and ladies, it's so important to keep your job and do real estate. Have something on the side. It is amazing how we go through life, spend all our lives at a work, at a company, and then we don't have anything to show for it. Think about it. Now, I don't know what the age group in here is. For example, I'm 53, right? So sometimes I tend to get people my age. But the point I'm making is when you get to about 40 years old, you've been in the workforce long enough to know, okay, man, this thing ain't working, and I might want to try something different. Think about it. You're 40 years old, and most people don't have anything to show for it. Now, I'm not putting anybody down. I'm saying the system is broke. That's really what I'm emphasizing. The system is broke. If you have to work till you're 70 to retire, we got to wake up. If you are if you got to work all these years until you're 70, until you could stop. And then most people, believe it or not, when they're 70, they go back to work, like at Walmart or something like that, right? It's sad when all you have to do, I'm going to tell you the key. All right, somebody asked me, what are we talking about? Do you know what we're talking about now? Who is this? Emerald? Yeah, we're talking about real estate. I'm showing people and talking about how to get financial freedom with real estate. You can be able to do this. Um, but yeah, guys, I just say give yourself an opportunity, give yourself time, give yourself a reason. Because if not, they've got so much in a trance that you think that corporate America is going to retire you, and it don't even work like that. But hey, everybody's going to be different. You do what you want. I just come out here and share with you my journey. I'm 53 right now, and I'm just happy that I'm not in a position like most. And it's sad because all you have to do really is just change your position. Learn a new skill. That's the best advice I can give you is learn a new skill so you're not out here struggling, right? You're not out here struggling trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And it's a beautiful thing when you can take a vacation when you feel like it, or you can buy the car that you want, or you can go live in the place that you want, in the neighborhood that you want. But most people can't do that because we're restricted by job, and we never get out of that cycle. And you just pass it on to your kids, and then it's just a cycle. Your parents did it. They didn't know any better, and then their parents did it. And the cycle just continues to go on. And I just remember doing deep thinking like, man, I don't want to be working at these plants till I'm 70 years old. I just could not imagine it. That's why I worked so hard to get out. But I had to come up with a plan. So I started hanging around people that were successful. I started hanging around other real estate investors. I started getting mentorship. These are the things you got to hone in. Thankfully, I got laid off when I was 25 instead of 55. And speaking of 55, guys, I got to make this clear too. You're never too old to get started in real estate or any business for that fact, okay? You're never too old. There's nothing in the books that say that, but a lot of people get in their own heads and they say they can't do it, or that they're too old, or that it's not for them, or they're not built for it. No, you are. You can. You just have to put your mindset to it. If you can put up with corporate America for 40 years, you can do real estate. If you can get up every single morning and do something that you really don't want to do, because most people don't want to work at their jobs. Most people don't like their jobs. But if you can get up every single morning and commit and slave for somebody else and put your time in and sacrifice everything as opposed to being with your family, then yeah, you could do real estate. I had more stress off of my job than I did real estate. Because at least with my real estate, I can control it. I can control who I bring in as a tenant. I can control how much I make. I can control the rent. I can control which house I buy, and the list just goes on and on. But when you're working for somebody, you have to do exactly what he tells you. And you do it because if you don't, you get laid off or fired. So trust me, we've all been there. Whatever your boss tells you to do, you're going to do it. That, my friend, is a session of slavery. So you take it the way you want. There is a lot of opportunity out here. You just got to open up your mindset. You have to know that there's opportunity. It's not just real estate. I'm just giving you one. I do other things, but I'm just giving you one. One is real estate. And again, all I do is teach the buy and hold strategy. I'm not showing you how to fix and flip and wholesaling and rent arbitrage because that doesn't bring in any real income and it doesn't bring any wealth. But when you can actually hold on to the property and then rent this thing out and get cash flow every single month, like with me, I'm partnered with the government. I like the idea of getting paid every single month. What's the age group in here? I'm just curious. Can you put your age in the chats? I'm just curious. But when you can get paid every single month, guys, that'll change your whole perspective on things because now you've got control, right? And this is what I did. Instead of me worrying about getting a raise at my job, you know what I did? My thinking was, well, let me give myself a raise by buying an asset that's going to throw me off cash flow. That's exactly how I thought about this. That's what kept me motivated. Instead of saying, well, my job is not going to give me a bonus, I started to think, well, Let me give myself a bonus by going out there and buying an asset. See, I had the control, and you can too. I'm not worried about a bonus. I didn't worry about getting a raise. I just started to constantly say to myself, I'm going to learn a new skill that a job can't take away, and I'm going to start building a portfolio in the background of real estate. And that's exactly what I did of single family houses. Anybody can do this. It's not brain science, but it does take a commitment. And this is where most people fail. Most people are not going to put in the work. Most people are not going to put in the commitment. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's just that people look at things differently. I'm just telling you what I've learned over time. Mm, maybe. Yeah, so anybody can do this. It's not the hardest thing. It's very doable. You just have to want it bad enough. And it goes back to what I said. If your why is not strong enough, you're going to fail, or you're going to lack in this, or you're going to feel down and out, and you're not going to want to pursue it. You're going to have bad days. That happens. And I had mine too. But the main thing was I kept at it because my why was strong enough. And what was my why? Taking care of my family. That was enough why long enough. So that's why I do real estate. But I was not going to get laid off. I wasn't going to get myself in that situation again. And man, when you're working for somebody for so long, that is just the system is broke. It's modern day slavery. We got to wake up. But most people, hey, it is what it is. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed my live. I might be on later on, but I decided to come on, just drop some game and knowledge, help people out. Again, before I get off, if you have any questions, put them in the chats. I'm looking. But I'm going to try to come on every single day. I'm hopping over to TikTok, so you can always follow me on TikTok. That's my main one. But like I said, I come over here, talk about real estate investing, financial freedom, how to buy assets. This can all be done. Again, you don't need to go to school. You don't need a license or certificate. Just follow somebody you know, like, and trust. Even if you don't come through me, just go through somebody to learn the game. I'm telling you, it could change your situation for the better. All right. I'll see y'all later. Y'all stay